Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ask Matt Lloyd. So I'm here in my office and I'm actually on a Skype call right now with one of our top affiliates, John Chow, who's from California. And John is very close to crossing $2 million in mode. He's actually one of our most successful affiliates. He's a diamond affiliate. John got started in, I believe it was September of 2012. He came
That's right.
along, he promoted the I Am Revolution ebook and won that first contest, $10,000 cash. And ever since then, you've been doing really well. So I thought it would be fun if we got John on the call and had him ask the question today for an Ask Matt Lloyd. So, John, what question do you have?
Yeah, Matt, thank you. My question is, Mob is a international company with over 100 employees scattered all over the world. And my question is, how do you manage people remotely? Like, only a small percentage of Mob actually comes to the office, but the majority of them are like in America, Europe, New Zealand, all over the place. So, can you tell us some of the tricks and some of the tools you use to remotely manage people who are not coming to the office on a daily basis?
Sure. So right now, I think we have 189 staff all up in the company, and here in the office in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, we have five offices, reasonably small offices, and I think we have about 20 or 25 people here in the office, and the rest are virtual. So we're very much a hybrid organization. We've got predominantly virtual staff, but we also have people here in the office. Um, and it's a model that has a lot of challenges, to be honest, but there's also a lot of really good things about it. One of the good things about it is you cover multiple time zones. I mean, over half of our customers are in the USA. So right now, at the time I'm recording this, it's 1 a.m. for me, and most of our customers are just waking up, or they're around lunchtime of their day, so they're really now getting into things. But since we have the majority of our customers over there in the States, it's much more important that I have some staff in that same time zone who can keep up with them. For example, sales staff, customer service staff, definitely tech staff. If there's a problem that goes on, I want someone who can respond to it immediately. So that's one of the benefits of having a virtual organization. But to answer your question, how do I manage them all? Well, I don't manage all of them. What I do is we have seven divisions within the company. Okay, so for example, finance is a division. Division two is sales. Okay, that's phone sales. Division five is customer service and quality control. Division four is tech. Okay, tech production. So there's seven divisions within the company, and each division has a different department. Okay, so for example, in Division four, tech and production, there's a department of content writing. And I might have five staff who just write content for mode.com. That's how we're able to keep on bringing out so much content. Division two might include all of our phone sales coaches. It might also include our traffic coaches. So they're divided up into different departments. So the first thing I would recommend to anyone is you've got to map out how you want to build this. Now, obviously, if you're just starting a business and it's just you, and you want to go and hire your first virtual staff, then it's going to be a much simpler organization. You might only have two or three people, and they just all report to you. So you don't need to go and do big, fancy organization charts when you're that small. But I think when we got to about 30 staff, that's when I realized that I need to bring a lot more structure to what I'm doing, because I have 30 staff all around the world, not even in my own country. That was back when I was in Australia, and it's getting very chaotic. So we created the organization chart, and we started dividing things up. The other thing that we did, and we still do to this day, is we use Skype. We use Skype a lot. And what we do is we actually create Skype groups for each main division. So, for example, I have a Skype group where all of my phone sales reps are in that Skype group. And every time they post a sale, they post the sale there in the group, and all the other ones are congratulating them. So all day long, that Skype group is going off. Okay, now I have it set on Do Not Disturb, so it's not constantly interrupting me. I have another Skype group for all of our traffic coaches, another Skype group for all of our tech. So I think I have about 30 or 35 different Skype groups that I'm in. Now, I don't need to be in there, you know, controlling things or giving directions because I have managers in each division. But I am in the groups just so I can observe a few times a day kind of what's going on, what's the activity in the company. Does tech have a problem where a website's gone down or they're under attack by some hackers or something like that? So I can see what's happening. Um, so we have a lot of Skype groups, and our staff will communicate by text chat, Skype, but we definitely encourage them that if it's getting to be a problem, if there's some kind of problem that can't be resolved with a few back and forth messages, then pick up the headset and actually call someone, have a conversation with them. So the staff will all talk to each other um, predominantly through Skype. Now, every single division manager, they have to have a weekly division meeting every single week. All right, so they pick a day that they do their meeting. And then all of their division get invited to that meeting. The meeting might be on Google Hangouts or GoToWebinar, and they will do a meeting, and that's where they will manage their division and see what the projects are and give directions and so on. So I myself, I'm not on every single division meeting. They do get recorded, so I can go and check them if I want, but I'm not attending every single one of them. What else do we use? We use a lot of Google Docs and Google Spreadsheets. We try and have every role in the company a hat written for it. It's called a hat. So, for example, if you are a level 2 phone sales coach in our sales division, you have a hat for your role. That's on a Google Doc, and it explains exactly what you do in that role. It's like a little instruction manual. And when we onboard someone, when someone comes on board with our company, they have to read through the hat, acknowledge it, so we know that they've understood it, they've understood our training. So by documenting all of your training, that's another way that you can continue to scale, because then the manager doesn't have to explain the role to every single person who comes on board, which would be very time consuming. I just wrote some notes here, so I'm just looking at a few other things. Our tech department, they use a project management software called Teamwork. It's kind of like Basecamp. I haven't logged into it in many months. I don't get involved in that, but our tech manager, Bill, he has everyone doing projects using proper project management software, so things get done. I said Skype. Oh, every single week, Monday night for me at 1 a.m., because most of our staff are on the other side of the world. It's called an all hands meeting. Okay, and what that is, it's a webinar where we get everyone in the company on this webinar, and usually we'll have about half of them on the webinar. I try and get as many as I can to come, but some can't because of time zones. But I will talk for about an hour, and I'll do a recap of every division, all 7 divisions, what happened, and I get those recaps from the divisional managers, and then someone puts it on a keynote presentation for me. So I go through that and just give an overview of what's happening, and then at the end I just open it up for Q&A. So if people have questions for me, like let's say someone in customer service says, Matt, we're getting a lot of, we're having a lot of issues with new platinum members who are owed 10 traffic coaching sessions hooking up with their traffic coach. Then we find out, okay, well, there might be a problem with the automation. So I can, right there on that call, I can bring Bill, head of tech, into the conversation, and we can get it fixed. So on that weekly all hands meeting, that's really important. That's where I also get to communicate where are we going as a company in the future. And I started doing those meetings about 3/4 of a year ago, and it's very important. It just gets everyone on the same page. The virtual staff model, it can work, but you need the right people. That's the one thing I've learned after all these years. You need the right people. You need self-starters, because it is very easy to, for virtual staff, for the wrong people, if they want to not work or not work at full capacity, it's very easy for them to do it. I've had people who we've hired on Odesk, which is now called Upwork, who, there's a time tracking software on, there's a little screenshot tracker software where it takes screenshots like every minute or two, just so you can see what your staff are doing and how productive they are. I've had cases where people went and downloaded software that would move their mouse around every couple of minutes. So it looked like they were working. and I found out about it, of course. So it's possible that if you're going to have a virtual organization, if you get the wrong people on board, then it can be very inefficient. And I've just found that it's just so critical to get those self-starters, people who can almost manage themselves. That's the only way that virtual organizations will work. You've got to have really regular communication. Another thing I do that I learned from Evan Pagan, if I'm going to hire someone in a key role, like a manager role, I want to get updates every single day, especially in the very beginning. I want to know what they worked on, what challenges they had, how can I help them. So I do ask my managers to give me daily updates. Most of them do, but that's pretty important to me. And people who don't, after a while, that's not a good thing. So that's also a very good test. If you hire someone who's new to your organization and you give them a very simple task like that, take 5 minutes at the end of every day, give me an update and tell me what you got done, challenges, what questions you have. You will find that you can weed out so many people from that simple task, because it's always amazing to me that most people can't even do that for 4 or 5 days in a row. So that's a way that you can really weed out the wrong people, but also just stay on top of knowing what everyone's kind of doing. Because in a virtual organization, you don't have the advantages that you have in an office where you can just go and see them. So my staff here, if I need to go and talk to them, like someone in finance, I can just go right to their office and have a face-to-face conversation. With a virtual organization, we can use Skype, like you and I are doing now, John, where we have webcams on and you can see them. But then you start dealing with time zones and things like that, and it can slow things down a little bit. So virtual organizations only work if you hire the right people and you also explain the task that they're doing really, really well. That's why I say you want to document it. And then that way, if you're being very clear with them what the expectations are and checking in every so often, then it can work. As far as hiring people, we do a lot of hiring from Upwork. So we will hire people on Upwork.com. We can see feedback on, different people that they work for, what kind of feedback they've got, if there's been any problems. So Upwork is really great for that. The only thing is, I think you're going to pay almost 10% more. Okay, you pay a fee to Upwork. So if you want, you could hire people from Upwork, and then you could take them over to something like Time Doctor, which is a software you can get, like a screen tracking software thing, and that's free. You don't have to pay the extra 10%. Okay. What else do we do? We have most of our staff as independent contractors versus employees. Now, there's different advantages depending on where you are around the world, which what the laws are, but we have most of our staff as independent contractors. So they sign an agreement when they come on board. Everyone has a contract, clearly stating what they do, what the expectations are, and we put all of that on a Google document, and they have to sign off on it. Everyone gets a 90-day probationary period. So, if you hire someone, be very upfront with them about this, but you explain to them, like, we're going to do this for 90 days. I'm going to give you evaluations at these time points, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But make it very clear that this is a 90-day probationary period where if there's not the performance there, then it's not going to work out. The final thing that I will say is that if you're building a really fast-growing company like Moog has grown very fast in the last few years, it's very easy to become bloated and overhire. Okay, and that's one mistake I made. Now, I've got a really great team. We've got some really, really good people just working behind the scenes to make all this happen. But there have been times in the past where we brought people on too fast, where instead of needing 3 people for one job, we could have had one person do it really well with the adequate systems and technology in place, like some automated process in place, where the job would have got done rather than hiring 3 people. So, you said before we started the call, we were talking about this, John, you said hire slowly, fire fast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big believer in If you're going to hire someone for a really critical role, take your time. Recently, we hired a new CFO, and we did take our time. We spoke to quite a few people because we knew that this person that we bring on board, we're going to be working with this person ideally for years to come. So it's almost like you're entering into a marriage. That's how you've got to look at it.
Hmm.
You wouldn't rush into a marriage after meeting someone at a Vegas nightclub and go and get married, because that's a recipe for disaster. If you're going to go into a marriage, you would really make sure you know that person really well. Well, hiring key people like a CFO when you get to that stage, that's a really key position. So you got to make sure you get the right people, because if you hire the wrong people, as I have in the past, it's not what you pay them in salary that it costs you. That's not even close to the real cost. The real cost of having the wrong people on board is all the damage that they can do. I've had the wrong
Hmm.
people in certain roles that I was paying close to six figures, and they cost me multiple six figures because they just might have been incompetent in some parts of their job. So yeah, it's really critical to take your time and get the right people. But that's pretty much it. That's how we do it.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Well, all right. Well,
yeah,
thank you, Matt. That answer is definitely a lot more detailed and a lot more involved than I actually expected. So you've definitely exceeded what I thought you were going to give me. So thank you very much.
yeah. No problem. For everyone watching at home, John and I were talking about this. So John's made a couple $1 million in Mobe. You don't have to go and build these big organizations where you have hundreds of people working virtually. In fact, I would encourage people not to do that unless you really want to build something enormous. But John, I mean, you're able to make millions of dollars. You said how many staff do you have on board right now?
Same as your contract. I have three writers and one programmer.
Yeah, so four people. So you keep a very lean organization, and I like that. That's one thing that I if I reflect back on the last few years, that's one thing that I wish I'd done better. Keep things more lean, more efficient. So I think that's pretty smart. You get to keep your margins nice and high.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the question, John. Appreciate you. And guys, if you're watching at home, if you have a question for me, you can go to askmattlloyd.com and you can opt in. By the way, we talk a lot more in depth about these kind of things, outsourcing, scaling at the Titanium Mastermind. So you should definitely check out the Titanium Mastermind. Get your tickets. We actually have one coming up in Mexico in a couple months. So that's definitely a resource you want to check out. But otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
All right.